Hello, darling. Let's talk about disconnecting from fair value, euphoria, greed, all the cycles. 100x, 1000x, all these numbers get thrown around, and then they're followed by enormous crashes, minus 90%, minus 99% in some cases, man. We need a method, a mental framework to evaluate where we kind of maybe should be taking profit. Maybe we should start thinking about stuff. That's what I want you to get in your head. The goal of this video is to at least give you an idea of all the possibilities that can happen. All right. Now, normally, when people say anything can happen in crypto, right? What they refer is they usually mean something can go down minus 95%, or it can go up like 100x, 1000x, right? And you always have this in mind, and it's not a healthy framework because it's always like, oh, well, anything can happen, right? If you have this idea in your head that anything can always happen, you will get complacent. And if you remember from the Wall Street cheat sheet, there's that one part of the cycle, right? Complacency, Wall Street cheat sheet. We're going to have to look at it, man. You know that part, complacency, there you go, right? We're going to have a look at it right here. Complacency. You never, ever, ever want to get complacent, right? Ever. Because it means you're not thinking anymore. And complacency, right here, there is complacency on two sides, right? So there's complacency when you have heaps of euphoria, and then you're like, oh, well, I don't want to think about the downsides. But the disbelief part is the bearish complacency. It's like, oh, well, things are going to keep getting worse forever. You get complacent as in you get too arrogant and cocky. You think, well, the world hasn't ended yet, and here I am living in this year, right? Maybe things aren't going to happen that way, okay? You never, ever, ever want to get there. It's really important. No one talks about that part of the cycle. This complacency part, so complacency and disbelief, they're both the same thing. They're actually the most important parts. You know why? Because they are the turning points. They are the points where things actually start to move from that point. It's basically the last stop on the station at that point, okay? So, very important, right? So, we're going to go back. We're going to have a look, man, because today's video, we're going to talk about disconnecting from euphoria, and we're going to see a different range of possibilities, man. This is just from me evaluating network growth, users adoption from rough numbers that I'm just scratching out for you, okay? So, from my research, this is going off by heart, right? Some coins pumped euphorically above user growth fair value in 2021. But Cardano stopped exactly at fair value. Okay? HEX went 6x above. Doge went 6x above. Bitcoin only went 50% above. There's a poopy emoji. Right? And at one point it went 4.5x above. Okay? In the past. In 2017. Right? Cardano stopped exactly at around fair value and then dumped. So when I discovered this, I was like pretty pissed off because now that means you can never be complacent, okay? Just because you hit your goal and your target, if you think, okay, I've got 100,000 users in my coin, I think we can get to 1 million by the next cycle. When the next euphoria wave comes and you're around about 1 million and you've gone your 100x, that doesn't mean you are then entitled to euphoria above it. It doesn't mean you can get 2, 3, 4, 5, 600x with certainty. Okay, because Cardano is this example where it stopped exactly at the narrative. Okay, let me continue, right? Unfortunately, right, so it means we aren't guaranteed euphoria every time. You must take some profit there. You have to, right? I mean, I've just given you an example of a coin that had something going for it big time and it stopped exactly at fair value, man. That upsets me to know, but better to know this information than not, right? So even with the layer 1 chain main narrative story going on in the backdrop, Cardano still couldn't moonshot above fair value, right? Instead, it landed where it should have, 10x the user base to get 100x the price. That is one of the worst things to hear when you're going to be looking at the euphoric part of the cycles in the future. Because, if we just go back to Cardano, we remember, okay? Remembering this. You had about 10k daily active users, okay? Around here. 10k daily active users. And then here it went to about 100k. around 100k, okay? So this is like, you really got to know, man. It actually went to, you can actually see, it was hitting around 120 to 150k, right? Sometimes 120k. So this is where it gets important, friends, okay? Because let's say you're sitting here, okay? You're like, you believe in Cardano. You say, Cardano's only got 10,000 people using the chain. I think we're going to get to 100,000, right? And then we do get to 100,000. We're hitting 100,000 here, okay? Now, you don't know this is going to stop. You just know, hey, we've gone 100x. I deserve my 100x. We've got 10x to user base growth. But you might now get complacent. You might say to yourself, well, even if we stop right here. So yes, I know everything's going nuts and everyone's excited. But even if we stop the user base growth right here, which is what it did, you might say to yourself, well, every other coin goes euphoric above fair value. So my fair value here is around $2 to $3, which is where it eventually hit, around this zone, right? So you're in the fair value zone, right? You can't say, well, I'm just going to hold longer because it's okay. It's going to be okay. Because now we have this example, right? You had layer one. So firstly, Cardano, this is the thing, right? So you had big boost. So this is the crazy part. This is why it was even more of a letdown, all right? Big letdown, right? You had BitBoy, shilling ADA, okay? 2, you had Altcoin Daily, shilling ADA. 3, Crypto Banter, shilling ADA. That's combined like 2.5 million viewers, all right? That is huge. You had that going for you, okay? You had all of this going for you. And it doesn't stop there. 4, you had layer 1 chain narrative going. 5, you had insanely high ETH prices. ETH gas prices. So here's the thing, right? So when we're up in this zone, I can write these for you, right? And see, I've written big letdown up here. I can change this to, look at this. Look how we can get complacent, right? Reasons to hold. Reasons to hold Cardano to $10. Right? See how I'll just change that with one little sentence change right here. Reasons to hold Cardano to $10. Now you're up here, we're flying on the moon, swimming on the moon, and flying, right? And I've given you all these reasons why. You have so much wind behind you that should get you euphorically above this fair value of about 100x from that base. But you know what comes next, man? Bang, that was the end. Okay, so this video, it's meant to be a lesson, right? You never let your guard down. Ever. You never, ever, ever let your guard down. And it's not easy, man. It's not easy because you really got to believe. You really got to believe. Okay. Bitcoin? You couldn't take profit at $6, $7 to $10, right? When you're here. You can't. You got to believe in 100, 1,000. You got to believe in infinite. You got to believe in the magic. Okay. I have this other beautiful tweet for you. Right, so Bitcoin, it's waves of euphoria. They're getting smaller each time, right? So the market participants, they're learning the narrative. That's why it's getting important, friends. Okay, that's why I've pushed this in. Okay, you got to understand this, right? They all understand. So we're just using Bitcoin example here. Every coin's gonna go through this. Every crypto asset. Okay, they're all learning. We know store of value. Gold's 10 trillion market cap and Bitcoin isn't. So right. Decentralization. Everyone's learning. You can't stop it, right? Money printing. We know, the M2 money supply, they print 4 or 5% every year. The debt goes up. Yes, next one. Gold. Yes. So I've written here, no more magic. Okay. Ecstasy is found in other crypto. That's the truth. Right here. Ecstasy is found in other crypto. Look at this. Look at your little circle here. So if I remember roughly, just the rough numbers, I think we went about 10 to 20x above Metcalfe's all fair value here. That's how insane this first one was. But this was like a miracle. First cycle, no one knows what the hell's going on, man. Look how thin it was, right? 10 to 20x above. Okay? And then in the next one, we only went, I think, about 6 to 8x. Okay? I think it was 6 to 8x above fair value, which is still huge, right? It's still enormous, okay? But in this one, man, we did about 4.5x, okay? Which is still amazing, but then this one was only plus 50%. Actually, plus 30% to plus 80%, somewhere around there, right? So, look at that, man. see what happens. And by the way, just to let you know, they say around 40 million BTC holders, users, around there, right? So there's a billion wallets, but I mean, they're all spam and stuff. So just a rough number here. I mean, it's very hard to get the numbers and the metrics. What are you going to count, right? Because technically everyone holding Bitcoin is using the network. You're storing value in there, right? Right. So, by the way, a smaller number is more bullish, right? Because you're trying to say you're early, okay? Bigger numbers are worse in this game. You want a smaller base, always, okay? Smaller number of people, more room for growth every single time, okay? So Bitcoin, I'm using a conservative number for them, right? 40 million people. That's, you got to think, man, even adding 40 million people again, you're going to get 4x the price. So whenever you watch this video, whenever the video's out, right, that's roughly what it says. But man, that's nuts. You add another 40 million people, you only get 4x the price. There are coins out there, man. You add 1 million people, you're going to get 100x the price. Compare that 100x to 4x, right? But Bitcoin has first mover advantage. It has the logos, got the brand. So it has an advantage. But man, does it have that much advantage? So you got to understand, and you are understanding now, right? The magic loses over time. I don't like saying it, but it does. It gets smaller over time. We've gone through other examples, okay? So Cardano hit fair value and stopped, you know? Doge, you know, you had a special case. Doge hit like 6x above it, all right? When, I think fair value was around here when I calculated, so it went above like 6x above, okay? 6x above. Isn't that juicy? And that's why it made a lot of people angry because I got out too early. You know, because, you know, I don't blame you. I don't blame you. Down here, maybe the fair value was 4 cents. Goes to 50. You can't predict these with 100% certainty. Nowhere near even close. That's why the only people, friends, the only people who actually make it are the people who are never willing to sell. I'm serious. If you are never willing to sell, you get to see these prices. If you are willing to sell and look for an exit somewhere, you get out too early. Every single time, every coin. Right? That's why you need to be a diamond hand believer. HEX as well. I think when I calculated, remember the fair value goes up over time because people, they keep onboarding. So in 2020, HEX fair value equals, this is relative numbers, right? Starting from the base was about 0.5%. Okay. And then 2021, fair value equals 0.073. I remember this, 7.3 cents, right? Which is about here. And now in 2022, right, so far, fair value equals 12 cents, okay? Around 12 cents. So it went up. So around here. So you can see, right, like, bang, it's starting to do that. But you never know, man, because we're in a bear market now. Maybe this goes again and you start to increase again, right? Maybe it starts to go up like this again. Wouldn't that be nuts? Imagine fair value 30 cents. But this is what happened, man. HEX went like 6x above its fair value. But look what it also did. It went 6x below it. So it did 85% drop below fair value, right? So if you just measure it down here, 85% below. So that's a 6x lower. So isn't that crazy? It gets to fair value, overshoots by 6x, and then comes back down by 6x based on the number of users. But Cardano, right, because this has HEX, you know, lower liquidity, more fundamentals, more stake, all this stuff, right? So it's different, and you have less players, more volatile, right? And look what Cardano had. Cardano didn't do that. Cardano just went to fair value up here, and then the bear market started, and then just started sinking because daily active users just started dropping. People just stopped using it as much. Activity goes down, price goes down. It's crazy how that happens. Like, because I'm sitting here thinking with you, why is it that if someone uses the network and then they stop, how come it gets sold? Why does the price go down, right? I want to know that too, but I guess Metcalfe's law is, it's a description, okay? It's not, oh, approximate this or that, or this is a forecast. No, it just describes how networks seem to behave. And they seem to behave where maybe if, like, you know, you have 10,000 people and a couple of thousand of them stop using the network, like maybe there's just a constant number of people who say, okay, I'm not using the network, I'm going to sell my coins, right? And other people on the other side, when they come to join a network, they go, oh, I'm using this network, let me get more coins on average. Let me put in, like, you know, 1% of my crypto stack, 1% of my net worth, right? And then that's why you seem to just have a parabola going up. Because you got to wonder, like, why don't people just come in, put like literally $1 of gas and then just play around on it? They can do that, but they don't, okay? So we are seeing this happen. The market is seeing, people seem to have this certain behavior, all right? And hopefully these numbers don't get fudged, right? More on the video on that later. Until next time, friends.